Hi, everybody. I am Jane Elizabeth. I am the Wellness Officer for Education and Media through Quantum Media. So today I am hosting our QTheVoices podcast, the wellbeing episode. And we have the wonderful Joyceloy with us today. Joyceloy is an educator. She's the founder of Dare to Glow. She's also an author of Dare to Glow and has been an integral part of the Wellbeing Marks initiative for the school that she's in, Algernon School. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No problem whatsoever. This is amazing. And so I just want to ask you, first of all, tell me about the Wellbeing Marks initiative.
So before I get into the Wellbeing Mark initiative, Joyceloy Kyompire, and I'm also better known as the Dare to Glow coach, like Jen has introduced me. And for me, it's a great honor being here on the podcast with her to speak about well-being. I work in Algernon School, and in Algernon School, they have implemented well-being, and fortunately also implementing the ADIC well-being framework. And I am part of the team in the school covering the recovery department. Now, for me to be part of the ADIC well-being framework has been really a great honor because I've seen how much it is bringing a difference in the teachers in terms of taking care of their well-being. Because when we look at well-being and wellness, those are two different things, right?
They are 100%.
Yes.
So part of what I do is being a holistic coach on more stress release and anxiety release, but there's so much more going on behind the scenes.
I agree. So it's been amazing that ADIC is not just looking at implementing well-being in schools.
Yeah.
They are looking at restoration. They are looking at embodying well-being so that we, the teachers, the parents, the leaders in the school, but most especially the students, are taken care of. So for me, I'm really honored to be part of that.
No, and it is a wonderful initiative, isn't it? And it's, when I first came out here, nobody mentioned about mental health or well-being, and we've gradually seen this being implemented. So tell me about Dare to Glow and the mission.
Dare to Glow is amazing how it started, to be honest. It started 5 years ago where I stepped into daring myself because moving into the UAE from Uganda, I had a lot of people who doubted who I could become. I knew who I would become, but you know why you have people doubting you, and then you dare yourself to move into the unknown, which was UAE for me at that time because I was leaving home. And there I was. I started working in the school, and before I knew it, I'm like, I need to share my journey with people who are moving to the UAE. That is how it started. Trying to show them that you can stretch through your comfort zone. You can actually get out of your comfort zone. And step by step, I got into the certification of getting the ICF in Dubai here. And
Congratulations.
with coaching skills. And then I also got EMCC in the UK with coaching minds. And I started building on that. I got the mental health first aider. So I also do mental health facilitation. And recently, I also got the behavior consultancy. So I can actually support people out there, teachers, because I prefer to support the teachers more because I've been working with them for the past 8 years. Yes.
And that's what I want us to take a deep dive into today is the behavioural side of things. So first of all, explain to me how that behavioural issues become part of wellbeing marks or part of schools, wellness and wellbeing programs.
So when it comes to for example, the well-being programs being implemented, they are going to support. They've already been there, but now it's like they're really pushing them to be implemented more by the teachers, yes, by the parents, but most especially by the leaders of the school.
Okay.
Now, part of what the well-being framework is the SPIRE, which S is for the social well-being of the students, the belonging, feeling like they belong, the social part. The P is for physical.
Okay.
What about their mental health? So that is where the health comes in, eating well, the nutrition, eating well. Then there is the I, the intellectual. Then there is the R, which is rational.
Okay.
And then the E is for emotional.
Okay.
So it's basically catering for the whole well-being of both, like I said, the students, the parents, the teachers, and also the leaders of the schools.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I also want us to look into, not to get into the politics and framework, but just to briefly brush over recent laws that have been implemented in the UAE that can affect teachers, parents, and students alike. Can you tell us a little bit about those frameworks?
Yeah, like which kind? Because there's so many that are being implemented.
To do with behavior.
So, for example, behavior, I'll just tackle one of them,
Okay.
which is basically how you handle students in terms
Yes.
of misbehaving, First of all, they always encourage teachers in the classrooms to implement behavior. Sometimes they implement behavior chart. Some people implement the behavior cards, where a student behaves well and you give them something. And when they say something, they don't mean give them candies, give them sweets and all that. It's what do you do in terms of motivating them to do better, to do better than they did today? Or if they misbehave, what do you do? Do you push them out of the classroom? Or you basically have a report on how you are able to monitor their behavior? Because when you're able to monitor a student's behavior, you're able to see that today they did this, tomorrow they did better. But also learning to separate a child from the behavior.
Yes.
Not to identify them.
Not to identify them. I'd also like to ask as well, you touched on something there about being told to get out of the classroom. Now, that's been pretty standard for many years through many cultures, misbehave, go and stand outside the classroom. Can you tell me the implications now of a teacher that tells a child to step outside?
So the implications, just like any other country, UAE does that also. You could be imprisoned, to be honest, for putting a child out of the classroom.
Okay.
You could be suspended from the school.
Okay.
So because there are other things you can do rather than putting a child out or punishing a child.
Okay.
Because punishment is more rational, So that's why they say well-being is more of you contenting the situation or taking care of the child than you pushing them out.
Okay.
So for me, normally what I see, and I've seen this work in my own school that I work, is call through the social worker, call someone who can help with the behavior rather than you putting it in your own hands. Because sometimes when you want to control the situation, that's when the situation gets out of hands.
Okay, so rather than teachers feel like they can't control the class, so they can't speak to leadership, you would actually, what would your advice be to a teacher that's really, there might be a couple of children in class that they're struggling with, and yeah, what would your advice be to that?
So my advice, according to what I have studied in behavior consultancy for the young children, is how you treat them.
Yeah.
The relationship you have built with them. And I saw one of the video you made, just sorry to talk about it, where you said implement the mindfulness.
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes when students get off guard, they get off the topic. Bring in that mindfulness. It doesn't matter how far you've gone within the topic. Just bring them, ground them, Part of the things that I do is recovery in my coaching, supporting in the recovery, bringing in that calmness in the chaos. So just do the mindfulness, breathe. Sometimes you just need to breathe. Even yourself, you just need to breathe. So maybe take a step out of the classroom, breathe, and come back in. Because you find that every time you get so agitated, you get angry, it gets to the students.
It releases, doesn't it?
Yes, because bad energy, what happens? It's released and everyone else gets the same. So
and that's where it spirals in the classroom, isn't it? So do you think there's a lot of stress on teachers to almost become a therapist of some description in the classroom.
I like that. You know why I like it? It's
Why?
because you find that so many people think teachers are therapists, but I think most people think teachers are therapists, and that's the truth. They
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Because one way or another, the teacher spends a lot of time with these kids.
Of course,
So
yes.
the most important thing is learning them.
Yes.
Learn their behavior. And that's where sometimes the disc, when I was doing my behavior consultancy, we use the disc, which helps you learn the characters of the person.
Okay.
So you're able to differentiate that this student is good at maybe working while studying. This student is good at working while sleeping. They want to lay down, but they are working, they are finishing their work. So you find that sometimes a teacher wants to be a therapist to a child who is working while sleeping. No, I don't want you to do it that way. I don't want you to do it that way. So you put pressure on yourself. And that's why I said you need to ask for help. Sometimes we need to ask for help. It doesn't matter whether you're a teacher or anyone out here, support is needed. So as a teacher, instead of taking on that role of being a therapist, ask for support from the leaders in the school, from the social workers, So it helps you to reduce that pressure on wanting to take up the therapist role in the classroom.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you think that teacher train, when the teachers are doing their degree, do you think there is enough awareness about various different behavioural issues, ADHD, autism? I mean, are teachers expected to recognise certain signs in the classroom?
So I honestly, from a place of my own education background, there's not so much training on that. Most of the experience is experienced in the classroom.
Okay.
Yes. And what I love about the schools in the UAE though is they train you on how to support these students, to make them inclusive.
Okay.
So for me, I would say in the schools, normally they don't teach that. Maybe they're implementing it now, but years back, you'd get out of the school and you don't know how to deal with students who are different from others. So I love that right now there's a lot of inclusivity, where they are trying to include all the kids together, the students.
Yeah. Tell me a scenario that's really got out of hand in your experience where and how the situation could have been dealt with better.
In school
Yeah,
environment, right?
regarding teachers and working with students.
Yeah. So one of the biggest scenario I have seen happen, and some of the teachers out there may relate, is a very good friend of mine. Her name's withheld. Though she doesn't mind, she loves to share this experience because it helps other educators out there. So what she experienced in the classroom was basically a child cutting her hair. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, a child cut her hair, and instead of the leaders being supportive, they told her she didn't have classroom management. So that is one that I have seen. I've not seen it with my eyes, but I've seen her go through it, and they had to terminate her. She didn't let herself go. They terminated her with the reason of you don't have classroom management skills. So to the leaders out there or to anyone who could be in a position of sitting with a person like that, a teacher who has been cut off hair, and she is explaining, I was seated and this child just came and cut off my hair. And they tell her, we let you go. You don't have classroom management skills.
I mean, there's got to be a line where classroom management is to, like we were saying, being the therapist. What would your advice be? Because what do? You can't shout and scream.
No, you can't.
What would you advise if somebody came at you with a child? Or what would you advise to a teacher to do in that situation?
So one of the things that I do myself for the years I've worked as an educator in the UAE is, one thing is I don't allow kids around me, around my hair.
Okay.
When it's break time, it's very clear. It's your time. It's my time, because I love to eat with them.
Okay.
But then it doesn't mean you have to be in their face, because I love being around them. So I tell them, you know what? It's our break. let's have fun, but let's also be conscious that I am also having a break. So they have their break, I'm having my break. Because sometimes you find that we accept the kids to be in our hair, so they get used to all this. And then the other thing that I would also say, and this may be off what some teachers do, is build that relationship with the students, that there's a time to play, but there's a time to learn. That when students know that now it is time to learn, there is that boundary, because sometimes the boundary is not there.
So that is how that
Yes.
situation arose.
Yes.
And
She was so, like, for her, every time, like, literally, we all knew her. This happened in the first school that I ever worked here. Everyone loved her. The kids loved her. She loved them, but she didn't know that incidents can never happen. And also keeping those scissors and those things around. I feel kati things shouldn't be kept around. They should be kept in the drawers, because classrooms always have drawers. So it's just being conscious around the children. Like, these things really happen.
So this would then lead on from what you're saying to, is there a line getting too emotionally involved? We're talking about, learning how to understand emotions in the classroom, but then a leadership meant to look out for perhaps teachers getting too emotionally involved with children.
No, that happens a lot. That happens a lot, yes. So you find that and this happens a lot when students start bringing gifts for you as a teacher. Then you start feeling like, oh, we are very close, and so you start building that very, very close relationship that is out of the classroom, and sometimes it leads to that getting phone numbers from the parents and calling them at hours supposed to be calling them. When you try to avoid all these things, they could help you to get in that space of crossing the boundary of teacher and student relationship. So I love that the school I'm working, it's not allowed. You don't have a parent's phone number. It's not acceptable. No WhatsApp groups for parents and all these things.
Good, because there's a lot of bullying goes on the WhatsApp groups, isn't there? I've witnessed that firsthand. So are the WhatsApp groups now?
For us, it's not allowed. There's one specific app you communicate with the parents, and they also have, they can be able to access it and see what is happening. So you don't have that. So the moment you cross that boundary, you actually get into being suspended, or, so it's not acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going on about the WhatsApp groups and what have you, there's recent laws that have come out about bullying, all areas. So you've got teachers being accused of being bullying and consequences, and students' parents. At what point would a parent get fined for the child bullying?
I think it's at a point where the parent doesn't care.
Okay.
Yes, because some parents are informed, but give a deaf ear to what they've been informed about, and it keeps happening. It keeps happening. So there are laws, I'm sure, that do that in terms of getting you into being accountable for what is happening. But I have seen that some schools I have worked, and I'm grateful for that they implement that whole anti-bullying. It's not acceptable at all.
No.
They either suspend you as a child, or there are so many repercussions to being a bully. So you see that it's not so commonly seen.
Yes. And does anybody look, I know like there's lots of repercussions for the bullies, but does anybody look into their mental health and well-being for any reason behind why their actions are?
Yeah. I think as the government, this is not something I can go so much into, but I think there are also those things that are put in place in support of them. When it keeps happening, they take them out and try to find out why.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they'll work on them as a separate. Okay, that's good. And what about the teachers? Because I've read and heard stories now that teachers can be accused of bullying. Where is the line there? What is the...
So that line is normally crossed. I'm glad you brought that. That line is normally crossed on that part where you talked about the emotional. where
Okay.
teachers and students get emotionally attached. Then you start maybe like holding the child, and sometimes it's not looked at well because in this country it's not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be hugging them all the time,
Mm-hmm.
or being moshe. It's not something
No.
that is acceptable in the UAE laws. So sometimes that can be taken also as bullying, right?
Mm.
But also shouting,
Shouting, and perhaps somebody who
hitting.
hasn't got any control with it, maybe they're a bit hyperactive. I mean, I don't
Yes.
always think myself as a holistic coach that younger children are designed to sit in a chair for so many hours all day.
Yes.
And yet they may be getting shouted at all the time to sit down, sit down,
Yes.
sit down.
And that's why I mentioned that sometimes when you discover that your learner is more comfortable working while standing, let them. If they are comfortable working while sleeping on the floor, let them.
Yes.
If they are comfortable working while one hand is on let them. Because
Yes.
sometimes when you start going about it, stop it.
Yeah,
That's when you
that's
get
when
into your head, right? You get to shouting, you want to use your hands, and then that's when it can go to bullying the child.
And is that then generally the parent that will log a complaint about the teacher?
So it normally starts with the child. The child will tell the parent, the teacher pushed me.
Okay.
The child may tell the parent, the teacher told me something unkind,
Yeah.
like they call the big words unkind. So it starts from you being maybe angry about something they've done.
Yeah.
So that's where it's always good to just control yourself. And like I said, have those mindfulness techniques around, go breathe.
It's really important, isn't it? It really is important, because I can imagine teachers are under a lot of stress behind the scenes that nobody's probably aware of. It's not just stress because you're taking extra books home to mark or typing the reports up. There's a lot more going on there, isn't there?
No, there's a lot more. There's a lot more, and that's why it's always good to have wellness coaches who come through and support. I recently, part of the recovery section for well-being framework in the school,
Yes.
I was able to be given an opportunity to facilitate it in the school
Yes.
to support them in recovering from
Yes.
stress. And I saw how much it was helpful, how much so many of the teachers came and said, we should do this more often.
Yes.
How come you didn't tell us you do things like this,
Yes.
So I felt like, wow, this is something
They need to
they
release,
needed,
don't they?
didn't
Because
know.
as well, if you're, and I'm sure people are susceptible to different energies. Like if you're around happy people, you're happy. If you're
Yes.
around stress, you feel stressed. So your teachers have got to please the students,
Yes.
please leadership,
Yes.
and please parents. That's three lots of energies that you're carrying.
So it's good to find a way you can actually have your energy back. And that's why I keep telling people, personally, the reason why I am the way I am, the things I do outside work, being an educator, is because I have a coach. I have someone I go to and speak to when I'm going through things, The imposter syndrome kicks in. I go to someone, to talk to. So I keep telling people, instead of taking all this stress and dumping it on your partner at home or dumping it on your children.
Of course, yes.
Get someone you can sit down and talk to and tell how
And
you
go
feel to get solution,
Of course.
because all these things in life will go through them.
Yes.
Yes, and they don't happen to us. They happen for us.
Yeah.
So that we learn
How
to be
to.
resilient. Yes.
Would you suggest, or what would you say to teachers? Do you think it's a good idea that after, maybe a year of teaching, or at what point do you think it would really, do them good to have specific teacher training in behavioural issues and how to avoid your friend's situation in the classroom?
I think it should happen every other semester, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I feel like schools should implement behavior trainings, because some teachers don't know how to treat the students, or they don't even know what to do and what not to do. So if they can have these kind of trainings, it will help them to avoid such circumstances,
Yes.
to be honest.
Because that only comes with time and experience, but there isn't room for a mistake till that
Yes.
comes, is there, with
Yes.
with everything?
I agree.
And I don't think it'll be long before this is going to be brought in.
No, definitely.
And
But you see, that's why, Jen, to be honest, I was excited when you got me to come to the podcast in terms of the addict wellness framework that has been implemented, because then there's going to be a lot of changes.
yes,
They're already happening, actually,
yes,
where they're now really taking care of the teachers' well-being.
yes,
You really see them taking care of the students'
yes,
well-being. So we've had things implemented, for example, in my school, but now you really see things are being implemented and real strong held on for them to happen and be there in terms of our health, in terms of that well-being, where we have a session of recovery. So you really feel that the addict framework is really bringing in a lot of change, and we hope it's going to happen for all the other schools around.
How many schools is this being implemented in at the moment?
So many. But I could say mostly the schools in Alain and Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Yes, because it has started from Abu Dhabi. Yes.
Okay. And just tell me before we go about Dare to Glow and what you can do for teachers if they, if any teachers can resonate to anything that Joyceloy has just covered and gone over, what can you offer them?
Yeah. So Dare to Glow is 5 years.
Yes.
I do one-on-one coaching, group coachings, and I also have the master classes that I normally have on different topics. And some of the topics is building confidence, how to treat the students. And the other thing is also having a tracker in terms of how you are treating yourself as a person. Because sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves, right? We don't pour in our own cup. We keep pouring in other people's cups. And like you said, teachers just keep giving. You give, you reach a point where you have nothing to give. And that's where the burnout comes in, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you don't even want to do it anymore. But I keep saying being an educator starts from the heart. So for me, what I do for the teachers and for the women out there that I work with is basically support them on the journey of learning to embrace who they are and own their voice.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And much needed as well. And you have such wonderful energy about
Thank
you.
you
I
so
can
much.
tell just by sat across from you already. I feel like I'm in safe hands.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And one thing I love about coaching is that safe space that is created for you as a person. And like I was telling you before, Jen, is the NDA that is signed, the non-disclosure agreement, where you have someone you have actually signed with to keep. It's like it's a bank of what you're going through, your small bank, and you have a key of it. So it's always safe to find someone you can speak to that is qualified, rather than just finding someone to speak to. And before you know it, everything is out there in the world.
Yes, there is. And I know that there's a lot of coaches and holistic coaches out there, etc. But I think working with Dare to Glow, you've actually got the experience now of the Wellbeing Marks initiative. So you can guide people to be working within the framework, within the laws, within, so I think that's a huge benefit.
And it's a learning curve. We keep learning, I keep saying we keep learning every day. And the other thing is I'm always up for working with others, for collaborations, because I'm all about seeing other people grow and glow. And like I said, the glow model is all about growing, leading yourself, owning your voice, but most of all, winning through all the challenges and the celebrations.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
And yeah, it is ultimately, isn't it? And like you pointed out there, to have time to kind of appreciate yourself as well.
Pour in yourself. There's no one else. I'm going to say it. There's no one else. Please repeat it. There's no one else going to pour in you. So pour in yourself first.
Yeah, 100%.
That's key. That's key. Yeah.
So if any teachers, educators, women out there resonate with anything that Joyceloy has said, just reach out to us. We can arrange a consultation. And for any other educator in wellbeing or edtech or other areas, if you want to get in touch with Quantum Media and come on one of our podcasts, we'd love to have you on. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate it.
It's been amazing.
No, it's been.